large language model we just used is the kind that you find on the web like ChatGPT, and this is really kind of useless. It's just a stunt. It's a promotional thing because it sort of knows everything on the web. Well, you could already search the web and find things. What's the point of this? What most people want, most of my clients want, is they want something trained to use their local stuff. I observed this thing is not synchronizing again. Fascinating. Zoom doesn't seem to work correctly today in this room. There. No, it's still showing the wrong picture. There, that's the right picture. All right, anyway, that was weird. So we're going to build a RAG. RAG is the retrieval augmented generation. When I first heard about customizing the large language model to use your personal data, I thought you would have to retrain the model. That is very expensive, very difficult, and by the way, very bad idea because there's a problem with models called catastrophic forgetting. If you teach them something new, they forget the old training. And no one's found a solution for that yet. That's a serious problem. So that's not what people do. The way that you incorporate your private data or your company-specific data into it is the way Microsoft does it. This is called retrieval augmented generation. So if you have Microsoft 365, on the web, you can turn on Copilot. And what Copilot will do is you ask it a question like, tell me everything about this, I make a progress report for everything I've done this month on this project I'm working on. It will then go to all your stored files, your PowerPoints, your Word documents, your emails and everything, and it will do a normal keyword search with a product like Microsoft Graph, which is just like Google, that will just search for documents that appear to be relevant. It'll accumulate all those documents and it will add them to your query. So now it will send a query saying, based on all the following information, answer this question, and then it will attach all these documents. That goes to a cloud large language model like ChatGPT, and the answer to that is what it shows you. So now your answer is customized to your company data, and it's presumably safe. Now there's some security risks, some pretty big ones. The first thing is, not all your emails are public. And of course, this process is not smart enough to realize, oh, this is my private email, don't tell anybody about this, here's who we're laying off next week. And then it'll just include that and mix it in, unless you had a sensitivity label on it. And this is true, not particularly this product, but all cloud products. Currently, there's an incredible amount of data thrown in the cloud, and almost none of it is labeled by sensitivity labels, which it would need to be in order to handle this. This Microsoft product has the ability to read the sensitivity label. You can say, make a public release email, don't include anything that is confidential. And it'll do that, but only if all your files are correctly labeled with a sensitivity label, and almost none of them are. And nobody wants to go back and do all that work. That's technical debt. So in practice, that's one risk. Confidential things from these documents might end up leaking out when you make a result and you send it out to people. Another risk is this is a cloud-based large language model. So here's your data going up to a cloud-based model. Can you trust it? And the answer is, if you trust Microsoft, you can. Microsoft says if you use the free version of ChatGPT, they'll train on your data. But if you use the paid version of Microsoft Copilot, where you pay them $20 a month, then they promise not to train on your data. So they promise not to use it, and that's something. That means they probably won't do it, and if they did, you could sue them for it, for breach of contract or something. So you have some confidence that they're not doing. By the way, Apple is going to do the same thing. The Apple Intelligence that still is not really out, just very early parts of it, going to be on the iPhones, they're going to try to do the processing on your phone, but they admit they'll frequently have to send it off to a cloud service, but they invented a whole new type of highly secure private cloud server for this. It is unbelievable how much work they do to make it private. What they say, which I guess is true, is that it runs Docker containers, and for every single request, it spins up a new Docker container just for that request, runs it, and then throws it all away, which is a whole lot of extra work, far more than anybody else would do. But Apple, one of their selling points is that they're very, very concerned about your privacy. And so they do all that. So anyway, we can build a retrieval augmented generation system. So here's a simple one in Python. This will do a very simple task. Let's start with this one. So I'm going to get out of here. No, I think I'm going to just make a new one. Go here. Okay. So let's all right. Let's make a directory. All right. rag1.py. All right. So what's going on here? This is very simple Python. What I'm going to do is just, here's my documents. I only have like 10 possible answers, which are activities you could do. And then I'm going to have a measure of Jacquard similarity, which just means it's going to count how many words in the question match words in the possible answer. And the one that has, it just counts the number of words that match. And then it'll just repeat the one that matches. So there's not even a large language model here anywhere. So if I do that and run this one, okay, what's an activity like? Let's say hike, to hike. It now says go for a hike and admire the natural scenery because it just found the answer that didn't have those words. Now the problem is if I give it, I say I don't like to hike, it'll tell me the same thing because it doesn't understand the sentence. It doesn't have the word don't. It doesn't know what it means. It sees the word hike. It matches the word hike. Bam, it's got the answer. So this is like a Google search would do the same thing. Yeah.
It's not showing on the screen.
Oh, yeah, it is. That's it.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, that's it. Here's where I said I don't like to hike. And there's the answer. You know, this is good. All right, so that's what Jacquard similarity will do. This is, you could call this retrieval augmented generation, but it's really just a simple keyword search. So it'd be better, now that I checked and made sure the API is listening, I can use a large language model. It's running, it's serving up data on a large language model. So here's the second RAG, which is going to use the API locally with Python. So I'll do nano rag 2. All right, let's take a look at this stuff. All right, so once again, I have the same 10 possible activities here, and I have the Jacquard similarity available. But what I'm going to do is it'll take the input you do, and it will add data to it. And it'll do it by going to the API. And to get to the API, you'll see that here. Here it is. Here's the local URL on a local host that will reach the llama model that's running, and then ask for a query from there. And it's going to show you what it's doing here. So let's run this one, Python. Okay, so now if I say, I don't like to hike, it shows you what it does. Instead of just feeding this query into the Jacquard similarity, it fitted into the Jacquard similarity, and it created this question, which it then sent to a large language model. It added this text above it. You are a bot that makes recommendations. Your answer is in very short sentences and do not include extra information. This is the recommended activity. Then it puts in the Jacquard similarity thing, which stupidly matched on the word hike, but then it put in the user input. And now it says compile a recommendation. So that's, now you've taken a dumb search and you've added a large language model to it. So now it has a better answer because the large language model understands what the word don't means, or at least it includes it in its fit. So now it says you don't enjoy hiking, here's something else. So that's better. Although, all right, anyway, so that's an example of a superior RAG. And that's RAG number 2. And here's RAG number 3. This one will actually do something productive. What it's going to do is download some data from the US government about large language model flaws. There's an input here, and let's put it in a file and look at the first few of these so you can see what they are. These are risks I found from a US document about AI risks. So here they are. AI risks can differ and intensify traditional software risks. They may arise across the life cycle. They may present at system level or at the ecosystem level, and so on. These are US government statements about the risks of AI. There's something like 80 of them. So it's going to use that as the corpus of special information, which is far more like the kind of thing you might actually want. And now, here's the RAG 3 script that will import those things. See if I can get there we are. All right. .py. All right, it's going to import those things and it'll tell you what it does. I'll just run it. It'll tell you how it's working just like the last one. All right, so now I say what AI risk are you interested in? And let's say human extinction. And so here's the prompt it creates. You are a security expert working for the government. Base your answer on this context. It went and picked the sentences from that government document that matched some words. And here's the user input. And now I say give a brief security recommendation. So it's the same thing, but it's more practical. It includes some of the words, and there's the response. Human extinction is a catastrophic and unacceptable outcome. We must prevent it. Develop robust safety protocols. Okay, so it gives you some moderately reasonable stuff. And so that shows you, this is basically what Microsoft Copilot does. It takes the relevant pieces of all the documents and adds it to your question and sends that to a large language model, which mixes your question with the context, presumably give you an answer that is more useful because it's going to contain information that's not public, and it's probably going to be more accurate, although it'll still tend to make mistakes and make things up, and so on. Anyway, let me check for comments in the Twitch. Did you say you will be in person? Yes, I will be there. I'll be in person, although you'll be able to connect by Zoom if you want to. I have the details up there pretty soon. Good? All right, so let me stop this recording.